Last week we discussed UCP 600 up to Article 14, right? And today we are going to continue from there, Article 15, right? What I have seen today is less people. I think maybe I have already put the both presentation last week. So people think, okay, we don't have to go join the class. I can study it and get through the exam. But if they are thinking like that, that's the biggest foolish thing these people are doing. That you will realize when you listen to the presentations and then um how we are going to uh, uh, put your queries and resolve your gray areas. That's the most important thing. This time I'm going to, this exam, I'm going to check or examine you more on UCP and URC. Because what I have seen, even I'm a little bit disappointed with the last uh, examination results, right? Uh, some of the guys, I mean, pass rate is a different thing. Pass rate was about 72% pass rates. But the people who got fail, I was stunned to see this is higher diploma in trade finance. So they have followed the classes for 7-8 months. So at least they should have some idea. It was horrible the way some people have answered the questions, right? Without giving any background information about the relevant articles and all. It was very, very disappointing performance. So, so you guys is going to get penalized. I'm sorry, because I'll tell you beforehand, right? Without knowing UCP, URC, if you are trying to get through the exam without touching those questions, right? You are not trying to fool me. At the end of the day, you are the people who get fooled, right? Because you have paid a lot of money, you have spent your time, you have studied, and you have not studied in a proper way. If anyone doesn't know about UCP URC, then there's no point of doing international trade, especially bankers. So that is why this time I'm going to test you a lot on UCP and URC. So when we are discussing these things, all these nitty-gritty things, just ask me any questions you are having, because some of the questions you are having in your mind may be the questions that you are going to get. So if you are not going to get it clarified to get the correct answer, then you are going to lose marks. So therefore, it is up to you, right? Okay. How many people are there? Let's see. We are having about 17. Article 15. Article 14 was one of the most important thing, right? That is how we are going to standards of examination of documents. Article 15 is compliant presentation. Compliant presentation. It says when issuing bank determines the presentation is compliant, if the issuing bank determines a presentation is complying, then without delay, it must honor and release documents to the applicant. It must honor and release documents to the applicant. But this is not happening now, right? Ajit and the guys who are in trade, can you tell me your experience, Shanita, Harshini? කියන්න බලන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ experience ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ brands වල ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ experience කරන්න මේ how the customers are pressing you, right? Sometimes the customers, when you receive the documents, right, are they coming to the bank and accept the documents immediately, or will they collect the documents immediately under LC? If the documents are clean, now the document, you have received the documents are clean, and it's a compliant presentation. Are they coming and collecting the documents, giving you the instructions to debit their account? Or will they ask you to hold on? Compliant presentation. Banat again, I'm bank kahamne. Because I have one. Yeah.
Some customers collecting urgently. Some customers collect their documents after a few days.
After a few days. Are there any customers? Because I'm also talking about the Colombo Bazaar. You're also talking about the Colombo Bazaar. So it cannot be two different people whom I have come across and you have come across. Same people. Some guys are asking the bank to hold on for 5 banking days to settle the bills. Am I correct?
Yes, recently our one branch customer asked from us which day they ask from us how many days they have to pay the bills.
Yeah,
that's a side bill.
Yeah, and the branches. I'll tell you the branch. Branches. Corre udne de me.
Sorry.
Halstoffel se හැපැති තියෙන street එක මොකද්ද? Halstoffel එක හැදි. Almost street customers less.
No. He's
some other branch.
Yes. No, not in Colombo area.
Outside customer.
Outside the branch.
Yeah. Colombo area, almost street customers are very famous for this. They think the UCP 600 says under Article 14, within 5 banking days. Within 5 banking days. That within 5 banking days is for the bank, not for the customer. If the presentation is a compliant presentation, then you have to do the payment without delay. That's why I have mentioned there without delay. Right? You can't delay it. And you must honor and release the documents to the applicant immediately. But this is not happening. They want us to delay the payments. Then nothing delay because you can't do the payment. That because of scarcity. Forget about that, right? Then the confirming bank determines a presentation is compliant. When a confirming bank determines that a presentation is compliant, it must honor or negotiate and forward the documents to the issuing bank. The same like the issuing bank. When they determines a presentation is compliant, they must honor or negotiate and forward documents to the issuing bank. Right? nominated bank, if the nominated bank determines a presentation is complying and honors or negotiates, it must forward documents to the confirming bank or issuing bank immediately, without delay. Without delay is the most important thing here. Then Article 16. Article 14, we talk about checking documents. Article 16 is when you check document and if you come across in discrepant documents, what action we are going to take, right? Discrepant documents, waiver and notice. The මේවා පොතේ මම මෙච්චර උගන්වනකොට මේ ඔලුවට ගන්න ඔලුවට අරගෙන ලියනකොටත් ලස්සනට ලියන්න the why I'm telling you, I don't want to see that thing repeating with you people. As a teacher, I always like to see my students answering the questions properly, right? And now we are having Zoom classes. So when we are having physical classes also, they come to the classes, they participate in the conversations, right? And I am the one who teaches you, and I am the one who set up the paper, and I am the one who correct it and give you the marks, right? Then when you see how you people have answered, just think about my mentality. I know how much of effort I have put forward to train you guys, and if this is the outcome, you don't have to come to any classes and you can write any garbage and give a try to get through the exam, right? So it is very, very pathetic situation. ඒකින් තමයි මම කියන්නේ මේවා හරියට කරන්න. මේවා කරන ඒවා ඉගෙන ගන්න ඒවා practice it කරන්න. Right? Now, Article 16, discrepant documents, waiver and notice. So when we check the documents and if you come across documents are discrepant, then what action we are going to do, right? Read the entire article. Article 16 up to G is very, very important, right? So when we examine documents to find out discrepancies, always you have to be in a very balanced mind, right? You should not be guided by any other thing, only the UCP 600 and certain guidelines of ISBP. But the rule-wise, only UCP 600. Based on the UCP 600 articles, you have to do the thing. And when you come across the discrepancies also, then Article 16 talks about what action you have to do when you come across any discrepancies, right? Discrepant documents. A nominated, confirming or issuing bank may refuse to honor or negotiate discrepant documents because the definition of LC is if the documents are compliant with the terms and conditions of the LC, we will pay you. If the documents are complying with the terms and conditions of the LC, we will pay you. If it is not complying, then this is a discrepant document, we will not pay you. We can refuse to honor or negotiate discrepant documents, right? And then when deciding whether documents comply or do not comply is based on two things. If the documents comply, then we have to act as per article what? If the documents are complied, then we have to act as per the article
15.
Article 15. Very good. Very good answer. Very good answer. Oh, Ajit Devarale.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Right. Very good, Ajit. Article 15A. 15A. Right. So, if the documents are do not comply, if the documents do not comply, then if the issuing bank determines that the documents do not comply with the terms and conditions of the document rate, it is not required to take up the documents and effect the settlement. Simple as that. Right? So issuing bank, in its sole judgment, approach applicant for waiver. Right? Uh, Notice of refusal must be given no later than close of the fifth banking day following day of presentation. The fifth banking day එක තියෙන්නේ අපිට, not for the customer. So if we found any documents, as per the Article 14, when you check the documents, and if you found any documents are discrepant, then the notice of refusal must be given no later than close of the fifth banking day, right? Following day of presentation. Okay, right. Failing to act in accordance with this article precludes the bank from claiming the presentation does not comply. What do you mean by that?
We have a failure to give our refusal if there are any discrepant document. We
Mhm.
have failed to uh, advise our refusal. We
Mhm.
are swift after during fifth working day, during
Mhm.
5 working days,
Okay.
they are treated as complaint presentation.
Compliant presentation. Then you can't send the refusal notice on sixth day, right? Then it will be treated as a compliant presentation. And now after providing the අපි සාමාන්‍ය compliant මේකේ අපි යනකොට කියනවා can you remember the refusal telex you are sending to the banks, the negotiating bank?
74.
Yeah, we say that the bank is holding the documents pending further instructions from the presenter. එහෙම අපි කියනවා නේ. Or
Yes.
that the issuing bank is holding the documents until it receives a waiver from the applicant, right? And agrees to accept it, or receives further instructions from the presenter prior to agreeing to accept the waiver. Or we say that the bank is returning the documents, or that the bank is acting in accordance with the instructions previously received from the presenter. The bank will return the documents, right? Now, once we send the refusal notice, after how many days we can, before how many days we have to return the documents? Before how many days we have to return the documents? අපි කියවනේ before the fifth banking day, before the close of fifth banking day, that we have to send the refusal telex. So we have sent the refusal telex, and we will say if nothing settled, we will return the documents. So before when we have to do it?
Is it 60 days?
No, Now, after providing notice of refusal, the bank may return documents to presenter at any time. At any time. The banker may return documents to the presenter at any time. That's a new inclusion to the UCP 600. Right? That's a very important thing. Issuing bank or confirming bank may claim refund for any reimbursement made with interest. If the negotiating bank has claimed reimbursement from the reimbursing bank under URR 725 and they have already received the money, and if a thing like that, then the issuing bank or confirming bank, they may claim refund for any reimbursement made with interest. Right? Okay. UCP 600 Article 16 says, single notice of refusal must state. Single notice of refusal. 16. Under Article 16C, it says, when a nominated Uglagav Tirana, UCP 600 Uglagav, Tiagan Nedine. Harshini? You're having your UCP 600 with you?
Yes, sir.
You're having, Shamita?
Yes, sir, I have.
Yeah. So read the Article 16C. 16C says, when a document, when a nominated bank acting on its influence, blah, 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 issuing bank to refuse the honor or negotiate, it must give a single notice to that effect to the presenter. Single notice. When we are refusing documents, it has to be one slot. You can't send refusal reasons every now and then. දැන් එකයි හෙට තව එකකුයි හවසට තව එකයි උදේට එකයි කෑමෙන් පෙර එකයි කෑමෙන් පස්සේ එකයි එහෙම අරින්න බෑ එකපාරට. Right? And the notice of refusal must state the bank is refusing to honor or negotiate. And you have to say each discrepancy in respect of the refusal. Right? Each discrepancy in respect of the refusal. Say the bank is one of the following way. The bank is holding documents pending presenters further instructions. So we are holding these documents pending negotiating bank's instructions. The other people who have presented the documents. The issuing bank is holding documents until it receives waiver from the applicant and agrees to accept it, or receives further instruction from the presenter prior to agreeing to accept the waiver. Normally, we say we are holding the documents until it receives the waiver from the applicant. Sometimes if the applicant gives the waiver, then honor the bills without any notification to the negotiating bank or the presenter. Then once the applicant has accepted, either he will accept the bill of exchange or he will pay the money, finish, then we'll set off the, we will settle the bill. The bank is returning the documents. The bank is acting in accordance with the instructions previously received from the presenter. Right? Itu api kelima. Apa return karana, apa return karna damo. Notice of refusal. Right? Another overview. The issuing bank is holding documents until it receives waiver from the applicant. The issuing bank is holding documents until it receives waiver from the applicant and agrees to accept it. It receives further instructions or receives further instructions from the presenter prior to agreeing to accept the waiver. Right? Now, issuing bank will first inform the beneficiary's bank notice of refusal. They will send. Right? And then the beneficiary will say, okay, return the documents. Return the documents. And meanwhile, the applicant, when we advise the discrepancies to the applicant will inform the issuing bank the waiver. That means they will say, okay, we are ready to waive that waiver. And if they are not accepting the waiver, then the issuing bank will have to return the documents to the negotiating bank. Right? අපි අර විදිහට කළාම අයිබන් notice of refusal එක අරිනවා. Second එක තමයි අපි customer inform කරනවා simultaneously we inform the applicant will accept it. If so, we will send the notice of acceptance to the beneficiary. Right? And then we will inform the applicant about the acceptance of the waiver. If not, the last one is the beneficiary's bank will request for return of documents. Right? ඔටික තමයි වෙන්නේ. What about that is all about importers. Think about the exporters bank, negotiating bank. Negotiating bank, before they send the documents across to the issuing bank, they will have to check the documents. When they check the documents, and if they found the documents are discrepant, it's not complying with the terms and conditions of the LC, then what are they going to do? I want to have the practical scenarios. As the beneficiary's bank. You have checked the document and you have found certain conditions are not correct. They have not complied with those areas. Then what action you can take as the negotiating bank? Are you going to accept the documents? Are you going to treat them as compliant presentations? Udesh? Ashini, tell me.
Yes.
Yes. There are so many mistakes. So are you going to negotiate the documents? If there are discrepancies, you have found discrepancies. So are you going to negotiate the documents?
If there are any discrepant document, we can ask from applicant's bank mentioning that discrepancy, accepting or not with they are asking us for charges and other details. If applicant bank confirm Is it okay? We can negotiate.
Before everything, as a negotiating bank, just step number one. These are practical. The bankers, practitioners should know about it.
Compliance?
Compliance කොහොමද? The compliant presentation යන්නේ නෙමෙයිනේ. What do you mean by compliance? The terms and conditions are not complied with the documents. So, what is your first step of action?
So can we reach beneficiary and tell them the discrepancies that we have came across, and tell them to make it clear? Can we do like that?
Yeah, what's your name to that?
Shanita, sir.
Shanita? Shanita, you're correct. Shanita, you're correct. That's the answer. The moment you see the documents are not complying with the terms and conditions of the LC, if you have highlighted the discrepancies, the first step should be for you to do is to contact your customer. Customer is yours. හැමදාම බැංකුවට එන්නේ මිනිහා. නේද? යට කතා කරලා කියනවා. Look, your documents are discrepant. Your documents are discrepant. Then these errors are there. Can you correct it immediately? Some documents are missing. Some documents are not signed. Right? Can you attend to this immediately? Otherwise, we will be having problems of sending the documents. How soon they have to do it? How soon they have to do it?
Within 5 working days.
Within 5 banking days. Within 5 banking days from
the following day that they have present the documents to the bank.
Yes, you're correct. From the day they have presented the documents to the bank. Now, for example, we'll take some example like this. A customer A has submitted the documents to the bank to negotiate on 1st of September. On 1st of September. Right? 1st of September is Monday. 1st of September is Monday. Right? On Wednesday, that is 2nd, 3rd. On 3rd, you have informed the customer A, you have informed the customer that there are certain discrepancies. What are you going to do? All these things can be adjusted by you, amended by you, right? So are you going to give us the documents duly amended? And these are the documents. Then you might have to return those documents to the customer. අපි තුමු invoice එකේ පොඩි වැරද්දක් තියෙන එක වුණා. certificate of origin එක sign කරලා නැහැ. Certificate of origin sign කරලා නැහැ. Beneficiary certificate has not been signed. Small things. Then the guy will they will come to the bank and they will collect the invoice, certificate of origin, and anything more than one way?
Beneficiary certificate.
Huh? Beneficiary. Oh, yeah, beneficiary certificate. අරගෙන යනවා. Wednesday house ට අරන් යනවා. Right? Before when they have to submit these documents to you, the corrected documents. Before when? Before when? දැන් දීලා ඉන්නවද? එන්නකොට සුමානකින් විතර අර යනවා උත්සකන. සුමානකින් විතර. දැන් හදලා ඔක්කොම හදලා. ඒතර එක කම්ප්ලයින්ට් ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකක්ද? Come on. I need answers. Think. එතකොට එක හදලාද? ඒක හදලා ගේනවා සුමානකින් විතර. එතකොට හරියද? තාම LC එක එක්ස්පයර් වෙලා නැහැ. LC එක එක්ස්පයර් වෙලා නැහැ. හරිද? නෑ. This is wrong. If the issuing bank can prove it, this is what had happened කියන එක වැරදි. අනික බැංක් එකත් වැරදි. So they have to do it maximum within 5 banking days following the day of presentation. So they have presented the document on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, next Monday. Right? So by next Monday, you have to get the corrected document. But ඒක count වෙන්නේ first වලින් නම්, not from third or fourth. Right? ආපෝ ගෑන් දුන්නාම දැන් ආපෝ තව 5 days ආයිත් යන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් Monday ගෙනල්ලා දුන්නාට පස්සේ then that doesn't mean again you can check and do everything. You have another 5 days. එහෙම නෑ. හොඳට ඔලුවට ගන්න. ඒකෙදි තාම යන්නේ original date එක. Original date එක යන්නේ. Because of that, a lot of prudent banks, සමහර වැරදි procedures saying, I don't know about your banks. If I am doing, I have instructed all my people, if you are returning certain documents, don't return certain documents. Return the whole thing. Either yes or no. Return the whole thing and damn thing finish and wash your hands. Right? Then let them present it as a new presentation. ඒක ඉවරයි. ඒ වෙනකොට if it falls after the expiry date අරම එතකොට දැන් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. It will be a new presentation. අරකට අරගෙන කරකවන්න බෑ. ඒකට ගත්තනම් Friday මේ Monday ට කලින් අපි refuse කරලා යන්නත් උන refuse to text. Otherwise it will be wrong. Right? Is it clear to you? Or do you have any questions? තියෙනවා මට කියන්න. මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඔයගලට මේක තේරුණාද කියලා. ඉතින් මේව කරද්දී හරියට කලේ නැත්නම් බැනුම් අහන්නත් වෙනවා, ගුටි කන්නත් වෙනවා අපිට බැංක් වලට. Right? ඒකින්ද අපි පරිස්සමෙන් කරන්න ඕන.
So, small thing, sir. Now, assume that we are getting a set of documents today, and we are coming across a discrepancy, and we are informing our beneficiary that this is not according to the LC, and please amend it. So you're saying, are we to give whole set of documents to the beneficiary and let them clarify the things that should be amended, and let us have it as a fresh set of documents? Is it, sir?
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Is that Shanta?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Shanita. It depends, Shanita. If it is only to get the signature of the beneficiary on a beneficiary certificate, you can give it to the beneficiary and ask him to either he can come to the bank immediately and sign and put the stamp. Then and there it's finished. But if there are 2-3 discrepancies which you have come across, if they have to change, and if you think it will take 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 days, might as well return the whole thing. The reason is I have experience. I have gone through these things, right? Our customers, they will come back after 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, and give it to you. And by that LC has been expired and everything has been done. So they are insisting, okay, we have given the documents to you before the expiry of the LC. Shanita, you got my point. Right?
Yes, sir.
Before the expiry of the LC, we have given the documents to you. Right? No, there was one small mistake. मैं भोगला मैं उन्हाद में कथा करने में इसमें उड़ी mistake करती हूँ ना आगे मैं कासन कले तंगे ना हो जान मम documents ये दी लाती है ने उगलांट ये मतलब मैं क्या ने so you don't say that it's LC expired केला they will argue with us but compliant presentation means we have to get the entire set into our hands before the expiry.
So one more thing, sir. Now, how are we to what do you call ensure that this the presentation date එක කොහොමද sir මේ අපි මෙයා කියන්නේ justify කරන්නේ according to that the beneficiary ගෙනල්ලා දෙන documents එක එන schedule එකේ තියෙන date එකද අපි assume කරන්නේ
නෑ
එහෙනම් කොහොමද වෙන්නේ?
Now, I suppose you are working in a trade finance department, Monica.
Yes, sir, I'm attached to exports department. So we are yeah.
What this person? Exports are what bank? Which bank?
Commercial bank, sir.
The commercial bank exports. Right? Then Maushi will hang in the upper.
Sir?
Maushi is back in the.
Yes. Yeah.
And I give my love to her.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Right? May please. Baba have a look at that.
Baba අවුරුදු 3යි සර් දැන් නේ.
මේ අපේ ගෙදර ඇවිල්ලා මගෙන් ඉගෙන ගන්නකොට ගෙදර ඇවිල්ලා ඉගෙන ගත්තේ CDCS. අපේ බබා හම් වෙන්න ඉන්නවා. ඒ කාලේ ඊට පස්සේ ඒක කිසි කතා කරලා අපිට. Okay, give my regards to her.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Right. Now the thing is what is it? The customer will present the documents, customer's letterhead, whatever the presentation schedule is not the date. The date is when we have received the documents, we put a date stamp. We put the date stamp. Are you doing that, Shanita?
So at the moment I'm not attached to the bills department. I'm just handling the drafts only. That's why I just wanted to get the clarification.
Yeah. So when we receive the document, we put a receive stamp. That is the receive stamp, right? That receive stamp we'll have to check whether the LC is expired, whether whether if it is a late presentation or not. Everything depend on the date stamp, not the customer's schedule date. And that is the thing. When we give the documents, then on okay, the 1st of September Monday. Example, 1st of September Monday, we have put the date stamp, and then LC will be expired on 4th of September. LC will be expired on 4th of September. So if you receive the documents on 1st of September, even if you check the documents and finish it on 4th or 5th, doesn't matter. That means we have received the documents before the expiry. So there's no discrepancy called LC expired. You got that point?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, all right, okay. Then the customer have collected the documents on 3rd or 4th. Fourth morning, he will come to the bank and say, right, sir, before 12 o'clock, I'll bring the documents. Right? Then he will bring the documents on 8th. He will bring the documents on 8th and ask you to negotiate. Now, with that correction, now the documents are complied. So, is it within the expiry date or not? Is it within the expiry date or not?
No.
The whole set is not within the expiry date because they have completed the documentation after the expiry date. Right? This is what is happening with a lot of banks. And this is what is happening with many banks. When after that, the customer will start fighting with you. Shanita means don't tell me like that. You know, I have the document acknowledgement on 1st. So I have given the documents before the expiry date. So now don't tell me that it is expired or all those things. Anawashya problems. Have you got my point? Right? That is why I'm telling you, if you are 100% sure when you are giving a document to the customer, you have to tell them either you bring it now within 1 hour or 2 hours. Otherwise, I'm going to return the whole thing to you. Right? And if it is a bad customer, a problematic guy, right? You have to decide on what sort of a customer. My advice is to give back the whole thing to them and ask them to bring it back. So if they want to bring the documents before the expiry, they'll have to bring the documents again, and at least on 4th morning, they will submit the documents. Then we'll put the 4th stamp. Done. Right? Then it's done. Otherwise, if they bring on 7th or 8th, it is late presentation, LC expired. You got my point?
Yes, sir. Another thing, is it okay if I disturb you?
Yeah,
Okay.
please go on. I mean, මේ class එක තියෙන්නේ ළමයින්ට ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න. මේක ඇවිල්ලා උගන්වන class එකක් නෙමෙයි.
So one more thing, and assume that we are getting the documents, set of documents on 1st, and we are coming across on a discrepancy on the 2nd day of getting those documents, and we are informing the beneficiary that this is like this. Then after 5 days, like, we are keeping the documents with us. We are not returning the documents, and after 5 days, if he comes to us and handing over that discrepant document, what is our position then, sir? Even what do you call, LC එක expire වෙලා නැත්තම් අපි ඒකට ඕන කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? ඒ කියන්නේ දවස් 5ක් පෙන්නට පස්සේ හරි කමන්නේ එයා ගෙනාවට පස්සේ LC එක expire වෙලා නැත්තම්.
LC expire නැත්තම් ඊට පස්සේ issue එකක් නැත්තම්, even if you take today's date as the receiving date, then it is compliant now. So personally I will not make a big issue.
Right, sir.
I'm very clear about your question. We don't have to worry about it because LC has not been expired, right? five banking days වෙන්නේ අපි කස්ටමර්ගෙන් යවන්න ඕනේ හින්දානේ. Because otherwise the bank will sit on these documents now. Now we have not done anything wrong now. The delay was with the customer now. You got it? Delay was with the customer. So we have not done anything wrong. Because of that, even if the customer brings it on the 6th day, right? But still within the expiry, within the presentation period, no issue.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Right? No issue. අතන ටිකක් පරිස්සම් වෙන්න ඕන. හැමතිස්සෙම you have to decide based on the situation. It's situational. Right? Okay. What about others? I mean, Shanita asked some of the very valid questions. Even others might have benefited with that. ඔයගලන්ට questions ඇති ඔයගොල්ලෝ අහන්නේ නැහැ. Right? මේ class එක ඇවිල්ලා මේ DAT is not a preaching class. බණ නෙමෙයි ආ. මේක අපි කතා කරන්න ඕන. මේ වගේ questions අහගන්න තමයි මේක ඔයගලන්ට සල්ලි ගෙවලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ මගේ ගාවට එන්නේ. ඒකෙන් ප්‍රයෝජන ගන්න. Right. Then the compliant presentation, when an issuing bank determines that a presentation is complying, it must honor. Refusal, notice of refusal by the close of the 5th banking day following the day of presentation. Now, notice of refusal, Shanita, that was the issue you are having. Notice of refusal. We are not refusing, we are not sending the beneficiary, the negotiating bank is not sending any notice of refusal to the beneficiary, no? Only the issuing bank will send the notice of refusal. Right? Again, there are 5 days issue, but the 5-day law is applicable to the exporters also, because otherwise the banks will sit on that. Banks will sit on the document. Can you remember when we were talking about the objectives of the buyer and seller, first class or second class, right? When we talk about under the introduction, objectives of the buyers and sellers. One of the main objectives of the seller, the exporter, is to send the documents as soon as possible and get the money. Now, because of that, if their bank is going to sit on the documents, who is going to be affected? The beneficiary, the seller. That is why we have another five banking days ruling applicable to those people also, right? But everything, when the issuing bank receives the documents, from that day onwards, the clock will start clicking, right? Now, 5 banking days, Tuesday is 0, right? Now, the first day starts, the Wednesday will be the first day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, holidays, Monday and Tuesday. Deadline for notice of refusal. A charter clear neither? Right.
So one more thing, sir.
Yeah.
Sir?
Anyway.
So assume that the LC, when we are getting the compliant presentation to us, the LC is already expired. What is our position then? Are we to accept the documents for us, asking for an amendment or something, or else can we refuse the whole set of documents that since the LC is expired already?
Are you talking about the exporter side or importer side?
Exporter side.
Exporter side. Exporter side, if you receive the documents, by that time the LC is expired, can you refuse the document? No. You can't refuse the document. You have the biggest discrepancy that a bank can come across. LC expired, or late presentation, late shipment, or late. Look at LC expired. But still, you can send the documents. You can send the documents to the issuing bank for payment. You can send the documents to the issuing bank for payment.
Then it will be a discrepancy, no?
It will be a discrepancy. මෙන්න
What
මෙහෙම
if
කේස් එකක් තියෙනවා. මම මේ කියන්න දෙන එක ටිකක් controversial situation එක. When commercial bank is sending are there any අජිත් පොඩ්ඩක් කතා කරන්නකෝ මට ඔයගලගේ ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එක ගන්න. ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එකෙන් අරගෙන ගත්තම මට ඔයගලන් මේ කරෙක්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන්. The others are not talking, right? මේ වගේ ගන්න බං අපි පොඩ්ඩක් අනිත් පැත්තට දාලා අපි කරමු ළමයි. දැන් කී දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද මට මෙතන? ඒකවත් දන්නේ නැහැ. 25 people are there. Now, let me know. ගොඩක් ඉන්නවා දැන් මේ ශානිතා තමයි ගොඩක් කරන අජිත් කතා කරනවා අනිත් අය කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. Now, when you are sending such documents, if you are working in anybody working in exports department and who are checking documents, right? I don't know whether anybody is there. When you are sending the documents to the issuing bank, some banks will not mention whatever the discrepancies you have come across. You will send the documents as it is to the issuing bank for them to check. Right? But when they in the schedule, the export order schedule, when you are sending, there you will mention when you have received the documents. Schedule date again, right? Schedule date again, documents හම්බෙච්ච දවස. එතකොට ඒ වෙනකොට ඒක expiry after the expiry date now, the issuing bank will raise that issue as the discrepancy. They will say late presentation. LC expired. LC expired when normally the LC will be either expired with the nominated bank or the confirming bank or issuing bank. Either confirming bank or issuing bank. Confirming bank, confirming banking, they will not, their confirmation will go for a 6. That is 6. Right? And issuing bank, expiry date again, so by the time issuing bank receives the documents, it is after the expiry date of the LC. So that's a major one. So the best issue is, even if you negotiate, even if you are not giving any value to the your beneficiary, what you can do as a prudent bank is you can send a telex or the swift message to the issuing bank saying that the following discrepancies we have noticed. We have noticed following discrepancies, right? Maybe have your applicants consent of accepting the discrepancies. Maybe have your acceptance of the accepting the discrepancies. The discrepancies තුනක් අපි jot down කරලා තියෙනවා. LC expired, මේක තුනක් තියෙනවා. By that time, applicant is also aware that his counterparty, they have failed to submit the documents before the expiry. So obviously the LC has got expired. So the seller has already informed the buyer So the buyer will, when the issuing bank receives such information, they will immediately inform the buyer. The buyer will say, no problem, I will accept. So those are the discrepancies that they are going to get. They know that, right? So the buyer beforehand, they will accept. They will accept the discrepancy. If the buyer accepts the discrepancy, then the issuing bank have nothing to worry, that they will pay. But the buyer will accept only those 3 discrepancies. But when the issuing bank checks the documents, and if they come across, apart from those 3 for which they have given the approval, right? They have found another 1 or 2. Can they refuse the documents now? Issuing bank. If they found only the 3 discrepancies that have been mentioned by the negotiating bank or the confirming bank, they have to accept, because they have already accepted that now. They have given the approval now. Okay? But if they found, because now they have to check the documents as a new lot. Independent checking again. Now can they, on top of what they have agreed, can they refuse the documents now?
They can refuse.
They can refuse. No doubt. They can refuse. Right? Okay, very important. ඔය ඔගොල්ලෝ හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ. කැලලක් තමයි මම කරන්නේ. right? අපි ඉල්ලනවා මේ first මේ කොහොමද මේ handling of pending dishonored documents, right? How we have to do it. Now we talk about the exporters bank, right? Exporters side. And if you come across any discrepant documents, even after getting the telex approval on the discrepancies, my advice to you is be careful when you are discounting the bills. If you are purchasing the bills, be careful. It has to do it for 100% risk to the customer, right? 100% risk to the customer. Then the importer side, the issuing bank, when they found discrepancies, what they have to do? Step 1. Do they have to inform the applicant, or do they have to send the refusal telex?
Inform to the applicant?
No, Pata, that's wrong. A lot of banks are doing this wrong thing. Who has given the irrevocable undertaking when issuing the LC? Who has given the irrevocable undertaking? Is it applicant or the issuing bank?
Issuing bank.
Issuing bank. So the decision is with the issuing bank. Number 1, when you found discrepancies from the issuing bank's point of view, you have to go back to the negotiating bank or confirming bank immediately. Then only you have to inform the applicant. Right? Then the applicant will, when we approach the applicant, they will, given the notice of refusal, they will say, okay, we will accept those discrepancies. අපි අරක දානවා ටෙලෙක්ස් එකේම දානවා refusal ටෙලෙක්ස් එකේ. ඒ notice එකේම දානවා. right? The notice must state that the bank is refusing to honor or negotiate, and each discrepancy in respect of which the bank refused to honor or negotiate under these for these discrepancies like a kela. ඊට පස්සේ දානවා that the bank is holding the documents pending further instructions from the presenter, or අපි කියනවා that the issuing bank is holding the documents until it receives a waiver from the applicant. If the applicant accepts the discrepancies, we will pay you. We will pay you. ඔය වෙනකොට exporter already contacted the importer, right? And they will instructed the importer to accept it. Importer will say, "We will accept." ගත්තොත් එහෙමයි, right? Okay. එහෙම නැතුව bits and pieces බෑ. අපි refuse කරාට පස්සේ refusal එක ඔක්කොම එකටම යන්න ඕනේ, right? And okay, from the importer's point of view, the issuing bank point of view, we have received the documents on 1st of September. Issuing bank, right? Then may import a side again. And second evening, we have seen the discrepancies, which we have advised the presenter. We have advised the presenter. The third, fourth, වෙනකොට තාම මුකුත් නැහැ. තාම කල් තියෙනවා. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth එනකන් යන්න පුළුවන් අපිට. But fourth විතර වෙනකොට we'll have to send a reminder to the applicant, as well as we'll have to send another holding letter to the presenter saying that still we are pending acceptance of discrepancies by the applicant. ඒක කියන්න ඕන. ඒක මේ law එකක් නෑ. But that's a good practice if you can do it. Right? Okay. Any questions on discrepant documents, waiver, notice, all those things under Article 16? Right? If you come across any, if you are having any issues, please let me know. Right? Okay. Can you see this one? Can you see the presentation? Part 2?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. මේවා පුතේ කල් යනවා මේ ඩිස්කස් කරන්න. මම හැබැයි මේ උලත් එක ඩිස්කස් කරන්නේ very vital area, right? Because now I have covered 90% of the syllabus, but I thought this part is lacking. The UCP 600. If you doesn't know about the UCP 600, then you are not a good grade guy. After checking the examination papers, I was very clear on that. Right? Right? Okay. Now, Article 17. Turn to Article 17. Original documents and copies. Read the Article 17. ඔගොල්ලෝ බලගෙන ඉඳලා A, B, C, D, E. Read it quickly. 2 minutes is enough. 2 minutes, 3 minutes a day. Below that. Article 17 talks about original documents and copies. When we are issuing the LCs, we say 2 originals and 2 copies. We'll say 1 original and 3 copies. When we open LCs, we put conditions. So based on that only, we should receive the document. So when we say documents, when we say even at the invoice in 4 copies. Invoice in 4 copies. Invoice in 4 copies ko hum all 4 should be original or all 4 should be copies. Invoice in 4 copies ko all 4 should be originals. Nothing all 4 copies.
Original.
No, at least 1 original must be presented. At least 1 original must be presented. Right? Others can be copies, photocopies or something like that. 1 original. Original document means apparent original signature or a mark or stamp or label of issuer of the document. Original document it has to be we have to have original signature. Apparently, the Article 17B, it says a bank shall treat as an original any document bearing an apparently original signature, mark, stamp or label of the issuer of the document, unless the document itself indicates that it is not an original. Document itself, it says not an original, a copy. Original document sign original signature. Also, an original means written, typed, perforated, or stamped by the document issuer's hand, or an original stationery, or states that it is original. Original stationery window on a company, but sometimes you will get something typed on a A4 paper. A4 paper print out. Original. Right? LC requires copies of documents. Either originals or copies is acceptable. LC requires copies of documents. Copies of documents, it can be either originals or copies is acceptable. Documents in duplicate, in twofold, or in 2 copies, presentation of at least 1 original and the remaining number in copies is acceptable. Right? Under Article 17E. Under Article 17E, if a credit requires presentation of multiple documents by using terms such as in duplicate, in twofold, or in 2 copies, right? This will be satisfied by the presentation of at least 1 original and the remaining number in copies, except when the documents itself indicates otherwise. Whether in duplicate, in twofold, in 2 copies, at least one original and remaining can be copies, right? When you make it ගත්තොත් මේක තියෙනවා දන්නේ commission invoice නෑ මේක කතා කරලා නෑ මේකේ in transport documents, when it comes to transport documents, right? Transport documents, if we say originals required, I make in transport documents, right? If the transport document says a BL in 3 originals, BL in 3 originals. If the BL in 3 originals, then is it all right if you get 1 original BL and 2 copies? Is it acceptable?
No, sir.
No.
No.
No. It is no, right? 1 original, 2 copies, it is not acceptable. This is specially only for transport documents. If a transport document says original required, then all should be originals. All should be originals. ඒක කොහෙර ලියා ගන්න එක. ඒක මට මේක ඔළුවට එilla මතක් කරලා කිව්වේ. If ඒකටම ලියා ගන්න in transport documents, if originals required, then all should be originals. If copies required, copies done within inverted commas, copies required, and originals presented. What they want is copies required, right? But originals presented. Will it be a compliant presentation or discrepancy?
Can we consider it as compliant since those are originals?
What about others? I'm talking about transport documents under Article 17, transport documents. If originals required, and then all should be originals. But when it says copies required, but they have submitted original documents, is it complied or discrepant? Are you going to refuse it or not? Copies ඉල්ලුවා මම එක දෙන්නේ. ඒක උත්තර මම බලන් ඉන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියනකම්.
That can be considered as compliant. Original is better than copies, no?
Unfortunately, no. මේක ලියා ගන්න ඊට පස්සේ මම තේරුම් කළා කියන්නම්. අපි සැලිවනේ in transport documents, if original is required, then all should be originals. If copy is required and original is presented, then it will be a discrepancy. Then it will be a discrepancy. Right? Then it will be a discrepancy. හරි පරිස්සම් වෙන්න ඕන වැඩක්. අපි හිතන්නේ ඔක්කොම ඔරිජිනල් දුන්නට පස්සේ ඔක්කොම හරිනේ කියලා. It's better than the no. හැබැයි මේක අනිත් පැත්ත වුණා නම් ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. අර අනිත් ඔරිජිනල් ડોකියුමන්ට්ස් වල ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. As per the Article 17, but not for transport documents. Not for transport documents. Right? Okay. Article 18, commercial invoice. Commercial invoice. Commercial invoice should be issued by the beneficiary. Definitely, that you know that. And made out in the name of the applicant. And need not be signed. Need not be signed. What do you mean by need not be signed? Commercial invoice, except as provided in Article 38 transparently. Normally, commercial invoice, if the commercial, when you receive the commercial invoice, not signed, are you going to reject the documents and report it as a discrepancy? A lot of people will do. They are checking. If the commercial invoice is not signed, you report it as a discrepancy. That is wrong. That is wrong. Right? Commercial invoice need not be signed. Article 18, A, A4. Article A4. Right? But if the LC says sign commercial invoice, one original and two copies. Sign commercial invoices, one original and two copies. In a scenario like that, but you receive with the documents, the commercial invoice, it is not signed. So as per the Article 18A4, is it a discrepancy or not? LC condition.
Yeah. If they are LC condition, UCP supersede by LC conditions?
Yes. Perfect. Perfect. If the LC says signed, then it has to be signed. It's what can be as per the Article 18A4. It is not a discrepancy like යන්න බෑ. Right? මේ වගේ ඒවා discrepancy code කරලා අපිට එනවා. එහා පැත්තේ රිදි ගලවන්න වෙන්නේ. Right. Description of goods, services or performance must correspond with the LC description. Okay, I mean, these are only the points I'm talking. When we discuss the ISBP, we are going for more details. So by that time, you have to have a thorough knowledge and understanding about these articles. I'm getting you ready for the ISBP. right? ISBP discuss කරන්න එක අමාරුයි මේවා දන්නේ නැත්තම්. දැන් මම මේකත් එක්ක කළාට පස්සේ then you are 100% sure. Right. Then invoice amount. LC description එකේ විදිහටම correspond වෙන්න ඕන invoice එකේ. සම්පූර්ණ විස්තරය තියෙන්න ඕන. Then invoice amount in excess of LC may be accepted by the nominated bank, but must not be honored or negotiated in excess of LC amount. You understand that particular one, last one? In as per the LC, the invoice amount should be, or the LC value should be 100,000. But you get a invoice for 100,000 of 101,000. You get a invoice for 101,000. So you can accept it, but accepted by the nominated bank, but must not honor or negotiate in excess of the LC amount. Negotiate කරන්න යන්න එපා. ඒක discrepancy එකක් වෙනවා. ඒකින්ද සමහර විටක අරගලොත් accept කරાવી. But the thing is, better take precautions. Otherwise, it will get boomerang. Commercial invoices must be in the same currency as the LC.
Excuse sir.
Yeah.
If there are any tolerance amount, can we accept? Can we negotiate the documents?
Yes. Yes. If it is within the tolerance amount, yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, right again. Then commercial invoices must be in the same currency as LC. Right? Same currency. The currency LC is currency and amount US dollars 1 million. US dollars 1 million is LC currency and amount. Right. Invoice number 123 says invoice amount is 1 million US dollars. Right? Is it correct? Correct. But invoice number 456 says invoice amount Singapore dollars 1560. Singapore dollars 1560 is equivalent to US dollars 1 million. Equivalent to US dollars 1 million. හැබැයි ඉන්වොයිස් එක දැන් ඒවල ගහලා ඒවල තියෙන්නේ සිංගප්පූර් ඩොලර්ස් 1,560,000. එකම වැලියු එක එන්නේ. But it is discrepant. Right? That is discrepant. The invoice has to be in the same currency as the LC. Any questions on that? Article 18.3. Article 18A3. Article 18A3. Right? Okay. Right. Now, overview of UCP 600, Article 19 to 25. What are the articles 19 to 25? What are the articles 19 to 25? Covering what?
Transport documents.
Transport documents. Transport documents. Right? Now, under the Swift MT700, under field number 44A, it says place of taking in charge, dispatch from, and place of receipt. 44E will say port of loading, airport of departure. Um, 44F is the port of discharge or airport of destination. 44B is place of final destination for transportation to blah blah blah, place of delivery. Place of final destination for transportation to place of delivery. 44B. Now 44A, place of taking in charge, dispatch from, and place of receipt. Again. 44E, port of loading and airport of departure. What is the difference between place of taking in charge and port of loading? What do you mean by place of taking in charge? The difference between place of taking in charge and port of loading? Think about think about Incoterms.
If they are dispatching the goods from like a warehouse.
Very good. Very good. Ajit kata kane?
No, Kevin, sir.
Kevin. Very good, Kevin. Very good. If they're dispatching from the warehouse, this is what is happening. Taken in charge. Right? Port of loading can tell him port, right? The money, the bills for transport details. MT 700. These things, I'm not going to ask you what are the fields or transport details in MT 700. But you have to have this information. You have to keep these things in your mind, and you have to be familiar with this, because when you're going to work in the trade, you need this, right? Article 19. Article 19 covers multimodal transport documents. Multimodal transport documents, right? Right. We'll take a 15 minutes break, right? Then we can get a manga. Gurat no other you can hit very you want to pay in Gurat. It's interesting. There are so many questions. I will cover the syllabus, but better to have thorough understanding, right? One department. So you also can have a cup of tea and back at sharp 5 to 3 of dinner, 2:55 of dinner. Meanwhile, if you are not a guy who wants to drink a cup of tea, you can read Article 19 of UCP 600, so that we can discuss that, right? Okay. Article 19 to 25 covers the transport documents, right? The first one, Article 19, is the multimodal transport document. What do you mean by multimodal transport document? Multimodal. Multimodal means more than one mode of transport. More than one mode of transport. Now, for example, if you say from, can one of you give me an example of continental country? Belgium, they don't have a port. They don't have a port. So if they want to ship goods to Colombo, what they have to do is they have to take the goods overland by truck or something to the nearest port of another country. Right? So the first leg will be overland, a truck consignment note. And then the second leg will be from there, the BL. Right? So there will be two mode of transport covering the entire voyage, entire shipment, right? Entire transport. So as per the Article 19, it says must appear to indicate name of the carrier. Now it is very important. Article 19A, it says a transport document covering at least two different modes of transport. We call it multimodal or combined transport document. Another name for multimodal transport is combined transport document. However named, must appear to indicate the name of the carrier. Right? We had to indicate the name of the carrier and signed by the carrier. Signed by the carrier. I'm reading from Article 19A1, right? Signed by the carrier or named agent for or on behalf of the carrier. Right? Or the second one, the master or named agent for or on behalf of the master. Named agent for on behalf of the master. Any signature by carrier, master, or agent must be identified as that of the carrier, master, and or agent. That means the signing capacity we'll have to have. We have to have the signing capacity. Right? Then any signatures by an agent must indicate whether the agent has signed for or on behalf of the carrier or for or on behalf of the master. If it is signed by an agent, they'll have to sign as agent for the master or agent for the carrier. Right? Now here, if signed by an agent, need to specify for whom, carrier or master, it is signed. Now, ABC forwarders is the parties as agent for master. Right? As agent for master, it is correct. And 500 wrong that was a comparison of UCP 500 and 600. Just forget about it. Right? The second one, if they are signing as agent, then we have to say agent for master Takashi Yanagua. Right? Earlier it said under UCP 500, if you are signing as an agent, then you have to say agent for master and you have to name the master. Takashi Yanagua. Yanagawa. Right? Even if you are signed as an agent for master, it's okay. Right? Indicating that is a signing capacity. We are going to discuss this in length when we are discussing the ISBP. Right? This is only a preamble for ISBP. Indicating goods have been dispatched, taken in charge, or shipped on board. Right? Under Article 19A2, it says, indicate that the goods have been dispatched, taken in charge, or shipped on board at the place stated in the credit by pre-printed wordings or a stamp or notation indicating the date on which the goods have been dispatched, taken in charge, or shipped on board. Right? එතන මේකෙදී කියන්නේ under Article 19, indicating goods have been dispatched, taken in charge, or shipped on board. By pre-printed wordings. Right? In the BL, it has to be there by pre-printed wordings. Issuance date is the date of dispatch. Issuance date of the bill of lading is the date of dispatch. Taken in charge or shipped on board. Either it can be used as a date of dispatch or taken in charge if you are collecting it from a warehouse or shipped on board. Right? Make a date of dispatch by air also. It's shipped on board, right? By dated notation indicating the date goods have been dispatched, taken in charge, or shipped on board. This date is the date of shipment. Right? That means the date of the bill of lading in a multimodal transport document. Must indicate place of dispatch. Must indicate place of dispatch, taken in charge or shipment, and place of final destination stated in the LC, even if transport document states, in addition, different places of dispatch, taken in charge or shipment or place of final destination. LC ke kohoma kiwat transport document එක මේ ටික තියෙනවා. Contain indication intended or similar qualification in relation to the vessel, port of loading or port of discharge. Contains indication intended to be delivered at this place. Right? එකක් තියෙනවා Article 19.3 A3 indicate the place of dispatch, taken in charge or shipment, and the place of final destination stated in the credit. Right? Even if the transport document states, in addition to a different place of dispatch, taken in charge or shipment or place of final final destination, or B, the transport documents contains the indication intended or similar qualifications in relation to the vessel, port of loading or port of discharge. Right? If issued in more than one original, all originals are required. Right? All originals are required. If they say multimodal transport document in 3 originals, then when we are negotiating the documents, all 3 originals are required. Otherwise, it will be a discrepancy. Right? Need not examine contents of terms and conditions of the carriage. Need not examine contents of terms and conditions of the carriage. ඒවා දෙනවා එහෙනම් චූටියට පිටිපස්සේ transport BL එකේ පිටිපස්සේ අතන BL එකේ පිටිපස්සේ නෙමෙයි ඒක BL එකේ ඉස්සරහා. BL එකේ පිටිපස්සේ තමයි අපි මේ BL එකේ ඉස්සරහා කියලා අපි හිතාගෙන ඉන්නේ BL එකේ පිටිපස්සේ. Actually, if you take the pages 1 and 2 කියලා දැම්මොත් page 1 කියලා ඉන්නේ terms and conditions. Second page එක තමයි description එක එන්නේ. Port of loading, port of discharge, who is the benefit shipper, consignee and everything on what date, on board, අරම ඔක්කොම ඉන්නේ ඒ සේරම අපි බලනේවා ඉන්නේ පිටිපස්සේ second page එකේ. හැබැයි අර first page එකේ අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියවන්නේ නැහැ. When we are checking documents, we don't have to worry about the contents of terms and conditions of the carriage. Right? Must not indicate. That is why we are always telling our customers to go for reliable shipping agents, reliable shipping lines, reliable. Otherwise, we get caught. Right? Must not indicate it is subject to a charter party. No mention about vessel propelled by sail. Right? Must not indicate it is subject to a charter party. If it is charter party, then it is not coming under Article 19. Then it will be Article 22. We are going to learn that, Article 22. Another one is vessel propelled by sail. What do you mean by vessel propelled by sail? Vessel propelled by sail. Normally a vessel, how it's a vessel propelled?
With an engine.
Huh? With an engine. ඒකද කිව්වේ?
Yes.
With an engine. Engine එක තමයි මේ diesel දාලා දුවන්නේ. Diesel engine එකෙන් තමයි propel වෙන්නේ. What do you mean by propel by sail? දැන් නෑ නේද ඔවා? මම දැකලත් නෑ මේ බඩු ගේනවා. හැබැයි I think maybe in certain countries, inland waterway, they may have. Inland waterway, they may have. I'm not sure. නැත්නම් මේක ලියන්න ඕනේ. ලංකාවට අහලා තියෙනවනේ. When the Dutch people came to Sri Lanka, Portuguese came to Sri Lanka, English people came to Sri Lanka, how their ships were propelled by sail. රුවලෙන් තමයි නැව ආවේ හුලං පාර්ටනේ. ඒ වගේනේ මේ අපි අහලා තියෙනවානේ Vasco da Gama, how he has discovered so many lands. Actually because of wind. The wind එකෙන් තමයි මෙයා ගහගෙන ගිහලා කොහරි මේ ගොඩ බිමකට යන්නේ. එතනට බලනකොට no population, nothing. At least one or two people. I have isolated countries. So he will declare it as one of the country owned by Spain. One of the countries owned by Spain. ඇත්තටම බලනකොට Vasco da Gama රටක් හොයාගෙන ගිහලා නැහැ. රටකට තල්ලු වෙලා ගිහිල්ලා. Right? That is vessel propelled by sail. ඒකත් එන්නේ නැහැ, not under Article 19. Unloading from one means of conveyance and reloading to another means of conveyance, whether or not in different modes of transport. During the carriage from the place of dispatch, taken in charge, or shipment to the place of final destination is transshipment. Take a multimodal නෙමෙයි. That will be transshipment එකක් වෙනකොට. Transshipment එකක් වෙනවා නම් එකම mode of transport එකේදී අපිට issue එකක් නෑ මේකට. ඒක transshipment එක. මෙතන වෙන්නේ it has to be unloading from one means of conveyance and reloading to another means of conveyance. Right? අපි truck එකෙන් unload කරලා we reload it to a ship or a aircraft, and then that goes up to the final destination. Right? The transshipment at the when the final shipment transshipment taken off. Then maybe the same mode of transport end up to ship to ship or truck to truck. It can be, but there's a transshipment taking place. Transport documents may indicate goods will or may be transshipped, provided entire carriage is covered by one and the same transport document. Entire carriage is covered by the one and same transport document. Right? Article 19 B and C. B and C. Very clearly they says transport document may indicate goods will or may be transshipped, provided entire carriage is covered by one and the same transport documents. Even though if you are unloading and reloading to another mode of shipment, the entire carriage is covered by one transport documents, even though there are two mode of transports. Right? Even prohibited by the LC, transport documents indicating transshipment will or may take place is acceptable. Then අපි මේ වගේ එහෙකද අපි when you are opening LCs, you have to be very careful, right? When you see there is a multimodal transport document, then the transshipment is a must, because you have to unload from one means of conveyance and reload to another means of conveyance. So you can't, obviously it is transshipment, right? Even prohibited by the LC transshipment documents. The LC says transshipment prohibited. Transshipment prohibited. But the document, what do you call this? Transport document is multimodal. Transport document is multimodal. So obviously there will be a transshipment. So in a scenario like that, we will not quote it as a discrepancy. We will not quote it as a discrepancy. It's a normal way of happening. So you can't quote it as a discrepancy. It is acceptable. Any questions on that, Ajit or Kevin? I know you people are silent. That means some questions are in your thoughts. Right? If there's anything, the most important thing is a transshipment can take place. Right? So even in the LC, even if it says transshipment prohibited, if the transport document is a multimodal transport document, then in a scenario like that, even though this transshipment happens, we'll accept it and we will not quote it as a discrepancy. Right? Then overview of UCP 600, Article 22, 21. 22, 21. What is Article 20? What is Article 20?
Bill of lading.
Bill of lading. Bill of lading. Article 20 is bill of lading, right? So Article 21, non-negotiable seaway bill. Non-negotiable seaway bill, right? There, a bill of lading, however named, must appear to. You guys have done this transport documents with Mrs. Anoma? කළා නේද ඔගොල්ලෝ?
Yes.
Yeah. You have done transport documents with Mrs. Anoma. No, it's easy for you to understand. Then a bill of lading, however named, must appear to indicate the name of the carrier and signed by the carrier or a named agent for or on behalf of the carrier, or the master or a named agent for or on behalf of the master. Any signature by carrier, master, or agent must be identified as that of the carrier, master, or agent. Right? Must appear to indicate the name of the carrier. Very important. And it has to be signed by the carrier or master or named agent. If signed by master, name of the master is not necessary. Just to say master is enough. If signed by master, name of the master is not necessary, but you have to have the capacity of signing. Capacity of signing. You are signing the capacity of as the master. Master හැටියට තමයි sign කරන්නේ. ඒක කියනවා කවුරු හැටියටද ඉන්නේ කියන එක. If signed by an agent, need to specify for whom. Whether you are signing for the carrier or master. If you sign as an agent. So ABC Forwarders is the agent. They are signing as agent for master. As agent for master. Right? Even නැත්නම් අපිට වෙන්න පුළුවන් ABC Forwarders as agent for master John අද මේ නම එන්නේ John Doe. John Doe. Right? එතකොට එතන අපි UCP 500 එකත් අපි ඒක accept කළා. They said you have to mention the name of the master, but UCP, when it comes to UCP 600, no need to mention the master's name, but you have to mention on whose behalf you are signing. If you are signing on behalf of the master, that's enough, right? Indicating goods have been shipped on board. Indicating goods have been shipped on board. That is, again, there are three functions of the BL. One is the receipt for goods received for shipment. Then indicating goods have been shipped on board. By pre-printed wordings, issuance date is the date of shipment. Issuance date of the BL, we take it as the date of shipment. Or if you have the onboard notation, then this onboard date of shipment. Right? Onboard date is the date of shipment. අපි අද දාලා තියෙනවා BL එකේ අද date එක දැම්මට type කළාට onboard notation එකක් දාලා තියෙනවා shipped on board on day before yesterday on 15th on 16th. on board on 16. So that's the on board date. From that day or time onwards, the shipper will take the responsibility of the shipment on board, right? So port of loading in BL differs from that stated in the LC, or BL contains intended qualification with regard to the port of loading. On-board notation is required regardless of pre-printed shipped BL is presented, indicating port of loading as in the LC, date of shipment, name of vessel. Port of loading in BL, if the port of loading in BL differs from that stated in the LC, or the BL contains intended qualifications with regard to port of loading, right? Then the onboard notation is required. In a scenario that onboard notation is required. If you can't understand at the moment, don't worry. We are going to discuss all these things when we are discussing the under
ISBP.
ISBP. Under ISBP, we are going to discuss all these things, right? For the time being, I am just preparing you for that, right? Medical key one. Yeah, Article 21, 19 to 25 is very, very important transport documents, right? Onboard date is a must. Port of loading as in the LC. Port of loading as in the LC. Date of shipment and name of vessel. Port of loading as in the LC. Date of shipment, name of vessel. Those should be there. If issued in more than one original, all originals should be submitted. අපි කිව්වොත් එහෙම normally LC is asking for how many originals?
3 originals.
3 originals කියලා තියෙනවා. But the BL has been issued with 5 originals. So if they have submitted 3 originals, is it compliant document or not?
It is discrepant. If BL issued more than 3 originals, they should
You have
submit.
to
submit
yeah, you
all
have to submit.
originals.
You have to submit all. Then it's a discrepant document, right? Okay. Good. Need not examine contents of terms and conditions of the carriage. Similar to Article 19. First page එකේ තියෙන්නේ terms and conditions. චූටියට ඒක magnifying glasses ඕන එක මේ කරන්න. ඒකට ඔන්න. Must not indicate it is subject to a charter party, or no mention of vessel propelled by sail. Same as Article 19. Right? I'm not going to repeat it. Unloading from one vessel and reloading to another vessel during the carriage from port of loading to port of discharge is transshipment. Right? A BL may indicate goods will or may be transshipped, provided entire carriage is covered by one and the same BL. Right? මේකත් මම cover කරනවා under ISBP. Don't worry. Even prohibited by the LC, BL indicating transshipment will or may take place is acceptable if goods have been shipped in a container, trailer or lash barge. මෙන්න මේ තුනේදී normally when we say transshipment prohibited, right? Under a normal BL, marine bill of lading. LC says transshipment prohibited. In a scenario like that, loading and unloading to another vessel, even though it is covered with same transport document, a BL, right? If it is prohibited by the LC, then it will be a discrepancy. Okay? Atana nae. That's an inherent thing in the multimodal. Multimodal badu bala patwanda honamai. Vessels dekane two means of conveyance. Right? But if the goods are containerized cargo, then or trailer or lash barge, then it can happen. They will allow it, right? Then me wage deyak balne we are transporting what do you call this glass mirrors and glasses. Colombo Picture Palace or same again, they will import mirrors and glasses from Thailand or China, right? It in a ship picker, they will come and unload it at Singapore port, and then they will reload it to another ship that is coming to Colombo. Lanka Shantiari, Lanka Kirtiari, Lanka out in a ship picker, it is a patola, right? The LC says transshipment prohibited, right? Prohibited. If it is a containerized cargo, it's a cargo loaded inside a container, then you can do it. Then it is not even though there's a prohibition, we accept if it is containerized cargo. The reason is when we unload and reload, there can be a lot of damages to the goods to prevent that. But if it is loaded in a container, the chances of getting damage is very less. So therefore, we accept it. Right? Disregard clauses in BL carrier reserve the right to transship. Disregard clauses in BL carrier reserve the right to transship. Disregard then the other one, Charter Party BL, Article 22, Charter Party BL. I think Mrs. Anoma may have discussed this with you in detail. Charter Party BL. What do you mean by Charter Party BL? මට ඊට කලින් කියන්න බන්න මේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියන්න බන්න Article 21 Article 20 Marine Bill of Lading. 21 is non-negotiable seaway bill. Can you give me two similarities and one difference between these two? Marine Bill of Lading and non-negotiable seaway bill. First, the two similarities.
The carrier of a named agent can sign behalf of the carrier.
Normally,
And
apart from
the agent can sign on behalf of the master.
both, yes, no issue. important එකක් තියෙනවා. What are the functions of a BL gun? ඒක ඔයගන්ට ගන්නලා තිබුණා. What are the functions of a BL? There are 3 functions of a BL. Very important. What is that?
Title document,
Title document,
evidence for shipment,
evidence for shipment, මොකද්ද? අනිත ශානිත අයිෂනි මොනවද?
Evidence of contract of carriage. Evidence for the contract of carriage.
Contract for carriage. Yeah, contract of carriage. Right? Evidence of receipt of goods and title document. ඔය තුනේ ගත්තහම what are the similarities in Marine Bill of Lading and a non-negotiable seaway bill?
Non-negotiable seaway bill is not a title document. Other 2 are same.
අහපු ප්‍රශ්නේ උත්තරේ දුන්නා. හැබැයි දුන්නේ අහපු විදිහට නෙමෙයි. මම හැබැයි what are the similarities කියලා.
Contract of carriage and
receipt for
for shipment.
receipt for shipment. Receipt for shipment. ඒ දෙක තමයි similarities. The difference is the Marine Bill of Lading is a title document, whereas non-negotiable seaway bill is not a title document. Right? ඒ දෙක තමයි difference again. Then the charter party BL. I think you may have done it. Charter party මම ඔයගොල්ලොත් එක්ක කළා සෑහෙන්න. Charter party එකේදී කරන්නේ we are hiring a ship. Normally we hire a ship when we have a bulk shipment like sugar, cement, fertilizer, then bitumen වගේ tar වගේ ඒවා. Right, we don't mix it other thing. We hire a ship. Entire ship is ours and we hire it. The hiring කළා දෙන්නේ කොම්බොට් එක මේ load එක තමයි ඉන්නේ bulk load එක. Right? මේක හරි risky. Charter party bill of ladings are very very risky. Right? But on top of that, I mean, when it comes to the BL අපේ unless otherwise the LC specifically allows us to accept charter party BL. Normally we don't accept charter party BLs because of the high risk, right? The BL containing indication that it is subject to charter party. That is the definition of a charter party BL. Otherwise, it will be like the same as a Marine Bill of Lading. The only difference is there is an indication on the Bill of Lading to say it is a subject to charter party. The charter party BL can be signed by master, owner, or charterer, right? Or named agent. If signed by master or owner or charterer, their names are not necessarily. Only thing you have to say on what capacity you are signing. If you are signing as the master, you can say master, or if you are signing as the owner, you can say owner or charterer. You have to give your capacity. If signed by an agent, then obviously it needs to specify for whom they are signing for. Whether they are signing for master, owner or charterer. Right? එක කලින් ඒවත් වගේම. Agent signing for owner or charterer must indicate name of owner or charterer. Right? For example, ABC Forwarders as agent for owner John Doe. It's okay. ABC Forwarders as agent for charterer John Doe. ABC Forwarders as agent for master. Right? A tapi accept කරනවා. Right? John Doe මට making එළියේ story එකක් මතක් වෙනවා. That guy's name was John Doe, who worked with us in overseas. He was one time he was HSBC audit manager, head of audit, head of internal audit, right? Head of internal audit. He was a Dutch guy. We had this department was normally you won't believe this story. I know a lot of people will not believe this story. Right? Are you believing on ghost? Holma? Believe කරනවද? සමහර අය believe කරනවා, සමහර අය කරන්නේ නැහැ. ගොඩක් කට්ටිය believe කරන්නේ නැහැ. මොන පුරුද්ද කියලා ඉන්නවා. This is something we have experienced at HSBC Dubai. This department was audit department was located in a separate building from the other departments. Benama department, partner building එකේ. ඒකේ 13th floor එකේ තිබුණේ. ඒක දාන්න හොල්මන් එනවා. ඔය හිටු ගාන දොරවල් හවසට රැය වැඩ කරද්දී දොරවල් වහනවා, ලයිට් ඔෆ් වෙනවා, වැටෙනවා. අන්තන් යනවා පේනවා. එකෙක්කෙනා වැඩ කරන්න බය වුණා. රැය 5න් පස්සේ 6න් පස්සේ එක්කෙනෙක් දින්නේ වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ බයයි. රැයට නම් කීයටත් වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ. Even we were laughing. We said these guys doesn't want to work overtime and everything in our VT. But at this John Doe guy, he was laughing at the Indians and Sri Lankans, saying that you foolish guys are always believing in this ghost stories, that you people want to go early. That is why you are not, you are bringing all these unwanted things, stories. You are bringing with these all stories, right? There is no ghost, right? You know this managers chairs, ඔගලන්ගේ තියෙනවනේ අර එහාට මෙහාට rotate වෙන chairs නේ තියෙන්නේ. ඔගලන්ගේ managers ලා chairs තියෙන rotate වෙන. ඒ දවස් මිනිහා වැඩ කරනවා රෑ 8ට විතර. මිනිහාගේ මේක rotate වෙන්න ගත්තලු මිනිහාට නවත්ත ගන්න බෑ. He doesn't know what to do. He was shouting, nobody was there. It was like a ghost house. He was shouting, nobody was there. 5 minutes, 10 minutes okay. මිනිහා වටේ මිනිහා කකුල තියලවත් නවත්ත ගන්න බෑ. Second day he gave his resignation and went back to the country. He gave the resignations. Right. කවුරුත් විශ්වාස කළේ නැහැ. ඊට පස්සේ අපි ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එක අයින් කළා උතනේ. ඒ බිල්ඩින් එකේ. කවුරුත් වැඩ කරන්න බෑ කියලා. This is John Doe. Right. Overview of UCP 600, Article 22. Right. Indicating goods have been shipped on board by pre-printed wordings. Issuance date is the date of shipment. By a date on board notation, on board date is the date of shipment. If the date of BL is there, then we take it as a on board date. But on top of that, if there's another date, on board date, then we'll take the second on board notation as the on board date, right? This port of discharge may be shown as a range of ports or geographical area as stated in the LC, right? Port of discharge. For example, LC calls for shipment to Asian ports. LC calls for shipment to Asian ports. It can be Colombo, Mumbai, Visakhapatnam, or Singapore. All comes under Asian ports, right? If issued in more than one original, all originals are required. Very much similar to the other documents. Need not examine charter party contracts. Never. We don't have to check the charter party contracts. Charter party contract is between whom? Charter party contract is between whom? The exporter and the owner or master of the vessel, right? We don't have to worry about the charter party contracts, right? No mention that the BL must not indicate vessel propelled by sail only. එහෙම තිබ්බත් අපි ගන්නෑ. charter party කලින් කිව්වා කලින් ඔක්කොම ඒවට කිව්වා no mention that the BL must not indicate a charter party vessel or vessel propelled by sail only කියන එක. ඒ දෙකම තිබුණා. Now when we are talking about charter party, then only one is remaining, that is vessel propelled by sail only. Now we are talking about charter party, right? Okay. Article 23 is the air transport document. Air transport document. Air transport document is not a traffic document and must appear to indicate name of the carrier. Like the BL, we have to mention the name of the carrier, right? Air Lanka, whatever, UL 123 or whatever carrier. Signed by carrier or named agent. If signed by agent, need to indicate that agent has signed for on behalf of carrier, right? Then must indicate date of issuance, which will be deemed to be the date of shipment. Must indicate date of issuance, which will be deemed to be the date of shipment, unless over there. Article 23(3). Article 23(A)(3). Indicate the date of issuance. Again, ගොඩක් මේක type කරලා නැත්තේ. Indicate the date of issuance. The date will be deemed to be the date of shipment, right? Date of shipment, unless the air transport document contains a specific notation of the actual date of shipment, in which case the dates stated in the notation will be deemed to be the date of shipment. Very much similar to BL and onboard date, right? Then any other information appearing on the air transport document relative to the flight number and the date will not be considered in determining the date of shipment. Very important point there. කාවෙන් කෝරෙන් මේක ඔලුවට ගත්තද? මෙන්න මේ කැල්ල උගල ගාව තියෙනවනේ. ආටිකල් 23A3 second para එක කියවන්න බලන්න. UCP එකේ second para එක කියවලා මට can somebody tell me what you have got? The clarification. මොකද ඒ කියන්නේ? Will not be considered in determining the date of shipment. මොකද්ද? You know, for example, if you say the flight details are UL 123 from Tokyo to Colombo. UL 123 from Tokyo to Colombo. Right? एक UL 123 from Tokyo to Colombo on 17th September 2021. That doesn't mean that the date of shipment is that date. Like කාටද ආගිය කරන්න පුළුවන් why UL 123 from Tokyo to Colombo, the flight has been taken place on that particular date. So it is complied. Nah. You have to have the date of shipment. That doesn't mean that that's the date of shipment is 17th September. Right? A date of shipment තියෙන්න ඕන. Right? Specific notation of actual date of shipment, even not called for in the credit, will be deemed to be the date of shipment. Specific notation on actual date of shipment, even not called for in the credit, will be deemed to be the date of shipment. Right? So all these things you have to have clear understanding, and when we are discussing the ISBP, we will be discussing all the nitty-gritty things under these things. Right? So I'm telling you, repeating, I'm trying to prepare you for the ISBP discussion. Right? Now it is high time. If you all can download the ISBP and get a copy and get ready. I don't know whether it is there in the Google. Give a try. Or if you are working in a department, Trade Department, then it is easy. You can get a photocopy. ශානිත්‍රාට ඇවිල්ලා ගන්න පුළුවන් මවශිලා ගාව තියෙනවා ISBP. right? ISBP එක තියෙනවා. ඒකට ISBP කිල්ලගෙන ඒක කොපි එකක් ගහගන්න. මට ISBP කොපි එකක් දෙන්න බෑ මොකද pages ගොඩක්. මං දීප ඇති ඒගොල්ලන්ට මගේ ඔරිජිනල් එක මං පොත දීලා ගොඩක් කට්ටියට ගාව ඒගොල්ලෝ ගාව තියෙනවා copies. Bank is having a booklet. So try to get some copies. Unfortunately, I know that you people are not going to office. Most of the people working from home, but that's the only way. Yeah, but anyway, why not give a try in the Google and see whether you can get it. Right? Otherwise, ISBP, if you are going to buy it from, if you want, you can buy it from Chamber of Commerce. The cost will be about 9,000 to 10,000 rupees. Aparadi. Algeta lacing photocopy කරගන්න. මම ගිය පාරත් ළමයින්ට කිව්ව එකයි ඒගොල්ලෝ ලස්සනට ඒකේදී කරපේට එක්කෙනෙක් කරපේට යා වෙර මේ photocopy joint එකට ගෙවල් ගාව එහෙකට දීලා කට්ටියගෙන් සල්ලි එකතු කරගෙන ඔක්කොම ගෑනලා දුන්නා ගහලා. දැන් වෙලා තියෙන අපි දනිත් නෑ දැන් අපි ඕගොල්ලන් එක්කනට එක නඳුරන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට සෙට් වෙලා කරගන්න තුනවා. එක පොතක් තිබ්බනම් මගේ පොත මරන් ගිහලා ඒගොල්ලෝ photocopy කළා. මගේ පොත මරන් ගිහලා copy කරලා ඒගොල්ලෝ බෙදා තියාගත්තා. photocopy charges එකද 4 rupees ද ගොඩක් ගහනින්ද 3 rupees විතර වගේ per page ගන්න පුළුවන් හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. ලාභෙට. අරගෙන සෙට් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. right?
So I have download ISBP few weeks before. It can found in Google.
That's good news. And others, thank him for the good news, right? So you also can download it and keep it with you. Okay. Print ගන්න නම් වෙනවා pages කීයක් කරනවද ISBP එකේ pages
42 pages. In this PDF, it have 42 pages.
42 years. Oh my God.
Both side prints 21.
It's ඊට වැඩි ආවා තියෙනවා ISBP එක එනවා 97 pages.
Original ISBP 97 pages. This font is too small.
Too small. Right, that's 97. My photo 97 pages.
Yes, I check with office ISBP. Both
Same
are
thing.
same. Yes, both are same, but font is small.
Okay, right. So, is that Ajit?
Yes, sir.
Ajit, okay, Ajit. Thank you very much, Ajit, for the information. That's good news to others. You can download it and keep it, right? So it's better if you are in the trade finance. Always keep it, and if you have any intention of doing the CDCS, that also you need, right? But then now මම හිතන්නේ CDCS කරයි කියලා ළමයි මේ දවස්වල තියෙන විතර because of the exchange rate. Unless otherwise, the bank is supporting you. Article 23, we continue. Shipment date not determined by any other information regarding flight number and date. Inbox smart for carriers use only. Be the original for consignor or shipper, even if credit stipulates full set of originals. Right? Need not examine terms and conditions of the carriage. Unloading from one aircraft and reloading to another aircraft during the carriage from airport of loading to the airport of destination is transshipment. Right? Even LC prohibits transshipment Air transport documents indicating goods will or may be transshipped is acceptable, provided entire carriage is covered by one and the same air transport document. If it is say, if the air transport document indicating goods will or may be transshipped, then we'll take it acceptable. Right? Same as the marine bill of ladings. Then UCP 600 Article 24, road, rail, inland waterway transport documents. Right? Must appear to indicate name of carrier, signed by carrier or named agent. අපි ලංකාවේ හරි අඩුයි මේවා වෙනවා. Then if signed by agent, need to indicate that agent has signed for or acted for or on behalf of the carrier. Right? Then must indicate the date of issuance of date or date goods have been received for shipment. Dispatch of carriage. මෙම අලුතෙන් දේවල් නෑ අරවට්ටම කිට්ටු කරලා මේ යන්නේ. Which is the date of shipment, unless the transport document contains a dated reception stamp as indicated date of receipt or a date of shipment. Right? Indicate place of shipment and place of destination as per LC. In the absence of indication as to the number of originals issued, the number presented deemed to be the full set. That's a different. In the absence of indication as to the number of originals issued, if they have not mentioned 3 originals or 2 originals or something, right? And if they have presented 1, then we'll take it as a full set. And if they presented 2, then again we'll take it as a full set. But if they have mentioned the transport document, the road or rail transport document issued with 2 copies, 2 originals, then if they have submitted only 1, then it is a discrepancy. Right? Okay. Unloading from one means of conveyance and reloading to another means conveyance with the same mode of transport during the carriage from place of shipment, dispatch or carriage the post of destination is transshipment. Same thing is applicable, similarly applicable to all transport documents regarding the transshipment. Transport document may indicate goods will or may be transshipped, provided entire carriage is covered by one and same transport document. Even prohibited by the LC, transport documents indicating transshipment will may or may take place is acceptable. Very much similar to other transport documents, right? For rail transport documents, if it does not identify the carrier, any signature or stamp of railway company is accepted as being signed by the carrier. Right? If it does not identify the carrier, may make him a ISBP 172 කියලා තියෙනවා. Ajay, don't take it correct because this is a previous ISBP. It's a previous ISBP, not the latest one, right? What we are going to learn, what we have downloaded is the latest one, right? Just ignore it. Transport documents marked duplicate is accepted as an original. That's a new one, new addition to the UCP 600, right? There's new addition to the UCP 600. Then sorry. Mm. These days I'm going through a little bit of, I'm having a bit of an issue with my mother is 93, 92 years and she's living alone. Nobody is there to look after her. So I'm looking for getting all the avenues to get a helper. Because she doesn't want to come and stay with us. She still like the independence. At that age, you can't argue. Only thing what we have to support them. For transport documents, marked duplicate is accepted as an original. Under Article 24, B2. Article 24, B2. Rail transport document marked duplicate will be accepted as an original. Right? Transport document will be accepted as original, whether marked as an original or not, also applicable to inland waterway transport. Right? Road transport documents marked for consignor or the shipper, or bear no marking for whom the documents have been prepared, it is the original. These are not, well, this is new to most of you because we are not handling this type of transport documents, right? In other countries, in European countries, this is a very common thing. More than the marine bill of lading or multimodal or whatever, this is happening. Rail law, truck consignment notes, right? So whether it is marked original or not, whatever the document they submit, we'll use it as original because this is not a title document and this is not a negotiable document. Therefore, what we want is an evidence, right? What we want is an evidence. When I was handling Dubai trade operations, once I had a customer, IK International, IK International, Ispat Karama International, they are the number one steel manufacturers in the world. The factory was situated in Kazakhstan, and they were doing after manufacturing, their main buyers are from China, right? Their main buyers are from China. So because of that, most of the goods will go from Kazakhstan to China by rail. Because of this, they were number one in the world, owned by Lakshmi Mittal, the famous tycoon steel, right? So these people, they have built a railway line from Kazakhstan to the China, Guangzhou. ඒගොල්ලෝ රේල්වේ ලයින් එක හදලා අපිට කොහොමද මේ මාතරින්දන් කතරගමට තාම හදාගන්න බැරුව අපිට කරගෙනවනේ ලංකාවේ අවුරුදු ගානක් අරගොල්ලෝ රේල්වේ ලයින් එකකුත් හදලා ඉවරයි. හදලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ වියදමෙන් හදලා ඒගොල්ලෝ ට්‍රාන්ස්පෝර්ට් කරනවා. So that is a situation in other countries. ඒගොල්ලන් I'm the one who did most of the negotiations and document checking. One of my issues were this railway rail transport document was in Russian language. The Kazakhstan, they use Russian language. So they issued in Russian language. So I don't know head or tail of Russian language. Oh, none of my guys knows Russian language. So how can we check whether it is correct or not? Original duplicate එකලවත් ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් ලියන්නේ. ඒවත් ලියන්නේ Russian language එකකින්. මේ වගේ situation එකක how can we check the documents? කියන්න බලන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ට expert ලානේ. I would like to have your views on this. What I did was, I asked those people to sign an indemnity. The indemnity was that the bank will accept the railway transport document in Russian language as it is, as corrected, as correct. Then I don't have to check the transport document for any discrepancies. Whatever it is there, baby. Nobody can come back and quote me any discrepancies, the issuing banks, on the transport document. Right? ඒ විදිහට දාලා අපි කළා. අවුරුදු ගණනක් කළා. හොඳ තඩි බිල් 2 million, $3 million එක බිල් එකක් එන්නේ. Right? Okay. Article 25, that is courier receipt, post receipt or certificate of posting. Right? Courier receipt must appear to indicate the name of the courier. මේ ටික ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියවන්න. මේකට ඔයගොල්ලන්ත් එක මේක කියවන එකේ I'm wasting time. You can read it and get ready for the ISBP. Right? Article 26 is important. A lot of questions comes on Article 26. On deck, shipper's load and count set by shipper to contain and charges additional to freight. Article 26. A lot of questions comes on this, right? The transport documents indicating goods are or will be loaded on deck, not acceptable. Right? If the LC says on deck transportation prohibited, for certain goods like perishable items, bee onions, sort of apples, grapes, fruits, then salt වගේ ඔක්කොම on deck ගෙනාවොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? bee onions එහෙම ඔක්කොම අවුවේ රසට කුණු වෙලා යනවා. Right? ඒකෙන්ද ඒවා on deck transportation prohibited. So in a scenario like that, if the transport document indicate goods are or will be loaded on deck, then it is not acceptable. Right? If the transport document indicating goods may be loaded on deck is acceptable. Don't ask me why. Right? You can argue that may be loaded on deck. they can easily load it on deck also. It's an argument. But according to UCP 600, if the title says may be loaded on deck, is acceptable. Right? Then okay. Then shippers load and count. Shippers load and count. The transport document bearing a clause such as shippers load and count and said by shipper to contain acceptable. Right? What do you mean by shippers load and count? What do you mean by shippers load and count? Can give somebody guess? When we load the goods, if you say a number of items or whatever, the shipper, when they are loading, they will say 150 boxes. They have loaded 150 boxes. That is shippers load and count. Shipper has count. It's shippers load and count 150 boxes. So they have loaded 150 boxes and they have counted them. 150 boxes are there. It is acceptable. Or said by shipper to contain. Said by shipper to contain. And there are barrels we have loaded, but we don't know what is there inside the barrel. Whether it's tar, or whether it's chemical, or whether it's paint, or whether it is kasipu, we don't know. Barrel of steel. But the shipper will say the shipper to contain, said by shipper to contain, said by shipper to contain that the barrels are paint. Or 100 barrels are paint. So inside the barrels are paint. Shipper danna make. So they have given that assurance. So we'll have to accept it. It is not a shipper's load and count is not a discrepancy. Right? Or may be loaded on deck is not a discrepancy. Transport document bearing reference to charges additional to freight is also acceptable. Article 26C, it says transport document may bear reference by stamp or otherwise to charges additional to the freight. Freight is $5,000 and there's another rubber stamp to say additional charges $500 in addition to the freight. So normally we accept it. Right? We don't quote it as a discrepancy. Then Article 27 is clean transport document. Clean transport document. Clean transport is one bearing no clauses or notations expressly declaring defective conditions of goods or their packaging. Right? So we'll take an example. We have loaded some oil barrels. 100 oil barrels we have loaded. The BL says 100 oil barrels. Right? 100 oil barrels. 4 barrels are leaking. 4 barrels are leaking. Right? Then it is not a clean transport document. It's a dirty transport document. Dirty කියන්නේ මේ oil වැටලා BL එක dirt වෙලා නැහැ. ඒක නෙමෙයි. We call it, it's not a clean transport document, because the shipper has taken over the goods in good condition, and they agreed to transport it to the destination in good condition. That is their contract. But how can they do when they are having 4 barrels leaking? So by the time they reach the destination, after 21 days, they will be having only the barrels, not the contents inside it. Right? Therefore, it is a discrepancy. So clean transport document is a must. That's an assurance given by the shipper to the importer that the goods will be delivered in good condition. It is not in good condition. It's a defective condition. The word clean need not appear on a transport document. Even credit requires clean on board. The credit says we need clean on board transportation document. On board date is a must. Right? On board date එක නැතුව on board stamp එක නැතුව BL එකේ date එක තියෙනවා නම් then we'll take that BL date as the on board date. BL date as the on board date that we accept. But the clean is not there. BL is asking clean on board. But if the marine bill of lading or the transport document is without any defective conditions, then we will treat it as a clean. The word clean is not necessarily. Clear, Deka? Right? Okay. Article 28 is the insurance documents and coverage. Insurance documents and coverage. We'll try to finish this one also. Right? Insurance also. Have we done the insurance? අපි කළේ නෑ නේද මේ වෙනම එක්කෙනෙක් මං ඇරෙන්න වෙන කෙනෙක් කළේ නෑ නේද insurance?
No, sir.
No. Normally there's a outsider that is one of the AGMs at Insurance Corporation, right? Used to work with me and conducting the classes. But this time he was telling me that he is not very much familiar with this online teaching. He doesn't like. So that is why I can't get a good person. I'll try my best to get a reliable person so that you can have a better, like the transport documents, the shipping, supply chain management. You had a very good understanding with Mrs. Anoma. Likewise, if I can get another resource person, I'll try to fix he or she. Otherwise, you can read it and I will cover whatever the things needed for you, right? But anyway, let's say I have to find a person who knows about insurance as well as UCP 600. එහෙම කෙනෙක් තමයි හොයාගන්න අමාරු මට. right? හොයාගන්න අම්මුනොත් මම ඔයගන්න කරන්න. In the insurance documents, Article 28, you can read it, right? The insurance document, insurance policy, insurance certificate, or declaration under open cover. All three comes under insurance documents. Either it can be either insurance policy, insurance certificate, or declaration under open cover. Right? cover note, is it acceptable under UCP 600? When the LC says either an insurance policy, they have submitted a cover note. Is it acceptable? Is it acceptable?
No.
No. Cover note is valid only for how many days? 14 days. Normally a cover note is valid. A temporary cover again, it's only for 14 days. Right? So we don't entertain any cover notes. Right? And when the LC says to submit the insurance policy, the customer has submitted insurance certificate. Is it acceptable or not? Is it acceptable? LC says insurance policy, but they have submitted this insurance certificate. Is it acceptable? Oh, sure. It is not acceptable. It's a discrepancy. When the LC is asking for an insurance policy, then they have to submit the insurance policy. The LC is asking for an insurance certificate, but they have submitted with the documents insurance policy. Is it discrepant or not? Are you guys there? I have lost the context. ඉන්නවනේ මොනවද පොලේ ගහනවා කතා කරන්න බැරිම right. Okay, so you guys are there. Is it acceptable? LC says insurance certificate, but the customer has submitted insurance policy. Is it acceptable? That is acceptable. But when the LC says insurance policy and when the customer has submitted insurance certificate, it is not acceptable. Okay? Cover notes, not acceptable at all. Can you read article 28B? When the insurance document indicates that it has been issued in more than one original, all original must be presented. That is one. Article C, cover notes will not be acceptable. Article D, an insurance policy is acceptable in lieu of an insurance certificate or declaration under the open cover. Okay. What do you mean by declaration under the open cover? What do you mean by open cover? Open marine insurance policy, open cover. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this, because when you're dealing with trade documents, when you open LCs, condition we hold open cover policy. open cover policy means rather than issuing insurance certificates or policies for each and every shipment, we cover the range of shipment for a period of 1 year. Open cover. 1 year about 100 million open cover policy premium. So the total up to 100 million we can go on. But if it is for certain goods with certain customers, then only for those people, not for everybody. May open cover open for some specific customers. And whenever we utilize the open cover policy, then we have to get a declaration under open cover. So each and every shipment, when we open LCs, we have to get a declaration from the insurance company. This is a lot of banks are not doing this. They're totally wrong. If there's an audit or something, you'll get landed, right? You have to get the declaration under open cover. Customers like say Gandama or Arakama or Mekam or Himade, Gandamona, right? Issued and signed by insurance company, underwriter or their agents or their proxies, right? Signature by agent or proxy indicated as being for or on behalf of insurance company or underwriter, right? ABC insurance company signed, perfect. Or agent for ABC insurance company, also right. By proxy for ABC insurance company, that is also correct. But you have to mention on what capacity you are signing. All originals must be presented. If the documents indicates that more than one original has been issued, then all originals should be submitted. Cover notes not acceptable. Insurance policy is acceptable in lieu of insurance certificate or declaration under open cover. We discussed that. Issued no later than the shipment date. Issued, very important, no later than the shipment date. Or it appears from the document that covers is effective from date no later than the shipment date. Right? Now here, let's say insurance policy. Insurance policy issued on 8th August 2007. Insurance policy issued on 8th August 2007. But they have a notation to say effective date 1st August 2007. Whereas the bill of lading, they come supporting documents, right? Corresponding documents in a set of documents, export documents. Bill of lading says that was issued on 1st August and onboard notation on 1st August. We have shipped the goods on 1st August, but the insurance policy was issued on 8th August. Between 1st and 8th, anything can happen. නැවත් එක්කම ගිල්ල තියෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. උතන ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් එක හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right? And when make it covered, make it effective date, even though we have issued it on 8th August, we have put a backdate clause effective date 1st August 2007. Then it is okay. Right? Any questions on that? Any questions on that? No. Insurance coverage expressed in the LC as percentage of goods invoices value. It's a must that we have to have 110% CIF value. Is deemed to be the minimum coverage required. Normally, unless otherwise mentioned in the LC, we always, as a norm, we always go for the minimum cover is 110% of the CIF value, right? Not FOB value, right? CIF value. LC, minimum coverage required, insurance required for 110% of invoice value. 110% of invoice value. Invoice value, total CIF value US dollars 100,000. Invoice, total CIF value 100,000. Insurance policy has been issued to US dollars 120,000. That is 120%. Is it acceptable? That is acceptable. Right? If the insurance policy has issued for 105,000, is it acceptable?
No.
Huh? No.
No.
No. But I understand. Recently, that's what I'm trying to get that lady. I spoke to one of the AGMs at insurance, National Insurance Company, Sri Lanka Insurance. She happens to be very knowledgeable, because I discussed a small issue regarding one of the queries from a bank. Maybe what the bank, either commercial bank or NTB Hari, Kagari, query එක. ඒ query එක තමයි මට ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් එක මම වැඩිම දන්නේ නැති හින්දා මම වෙන contact එක මාර්ගයෙන් ගිහිල්ලා මේක හොයලා බලුවා. Then she told me these days they are very particular on if the LC says 110% and the insurance policy they have issued for 120%, they said we are very particular. Normally we don't issue 120%. This is apart from what is discussed here. This one is acceptable, right? But practically now they are very particular for not issuing because there are a lot of frauds happening. There are a lot of frauds happening, over invoicing and then destroying the goods. They get more than the value, right? She told me if anybody wants to insure it for 120%, then case by case they have to justify the requirement, right? Otherwise they won't issue, right? 110 is the normal thing. Minimum 110% of CIF or CIP value if LC does not indicate insurance coverage required, right? CIP එකේදී අපි කො ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් එක මම මේක උගන්න ඒකද මම කවර් කළා ඉන්කෝ ටර්ම්ස් කරද්දී මම උගන්න කවර් කළා මේ කල්පනා කළේ ඒකයි ඉන්කෝ ටර්ම්ස් කරද්දී when we can insure the goods under, but if it is under CIP, as per the Incoterm 2020, that's one of the major changes. It has to be 110%. Sorry, it has to be cargo loss A. It has to be cargo loss A only. All risk covered, right? And if they got in CIP, if CIF and or CIP value cannot be determined from documents, take the greater of the following: amount for which honor or negotiation is requested, or gross invoice value of the goods. Right? Risk covered at least, place of taking in charge or shipment, up to the place of discharge or final destination, as stated in the LC. If it is warehouse to warehouse, then place of taking in charge and final destination. If it is port to port, then port of shipment and port of discharge, right? As stated in the LC. Right, we have proper diagram. 28. LC should state type of insurance required and additional risk to be covered. LC should state type of insurance required and additional risk to be covered. If LC uses imprecise terms such as usual risk or customary risk, imprecise terms LC again, usual risk, customary risk, bank will accept insurance documents without regard to any risk not covered. Again, whether it's A, B, or C, cargo clause A, B, or C, we will accept. So don't use when you're opening LCs, usual risk, customer risk. Don't use those words. That's for the LC opening clause. If LC requires insurance against all risk, the bank will accept insurance documents containing any all risk notation or clause. That is, all risk means cargo clause A, without regard to any risk stated to be excluded. Right? Insurance documents may contain reference to any exclusion clause and indicate that cover is subject to franchise or excess deductible. What do you mean by cover is subject to franchise or excess deductible? Article 28I. 28I. An insurance document may contain reference to any exclusion clause. Right? Any exclusion clause. Rust 10. Eva exclude we accept then steel gain oxidization, rust, accept exclusion clauses. Because when it is sea shipment for 21 days or so, obviously, if you are loading on deck, oxidization can happen. Right? Within the bayat of oxidization you can't put a claim like that. Right? So it's acceptable. J is an insurance document may indicate that the cover is subject to a franchise or excess deductible. What do you mean by franchise? Franchise, can you write down this note? Because otherwise, last time also I asked excess deductible. One question I came up. Samare dila tuna uttare harita. Samare itna varad dila tuna. Franchise se kai excess deductible maru karagan. Right? So can you write down franchise? For example, any claims within the franchise amount will not be paid. Any claims within the franchise amount will not be paid. Over that will be honored. Over that will be honored. If franchise amount is, now I'm giving you the example. If franchise amount is rupees 10,000, rupees 10,000, any claims up to 10,000 rupees will not be paid. Any claims up to rupees 10,000 will not be paid. For example, if the claim is 15,000, how much we will pay?
15,000 total will pay.
Yes, very good. If the claim is 15,000 rupees, then full 15,000 will be paid. If the claim is 8,000 rupees, then no claims will be paid. On the franchise amount of 10,000. මේ vehicle insurance වලදී කරන ගොඩක් කට්ටිය මම දන්නේ මම දාලා තියෙනවා. ඒක ලාභයි කියන්නේ ප්‍රීමියම් එක අඩු ගොඩක් අඩු වෙනවා. ප්‍රීමියම් එක ඒගොල්ලෝ අඩු කරනවා. සමහර අය යන්තම් යනකම් වාහනේ යන්තම් මේ ගෑවුනත් අපි කොහෙද කැලේ කරින් ගලා මේ වාහනේ මේ කටුවත්තකට හීරුණායි කියලා. ඊළඟට ඒකටත් ක්ලේම් කරනවා මේ පොඩි ඩැමේජ් එකක් තියෙන්නේ. පේන් කරලා ඔක්කොම දාගන්න මේ කරනවා. right? ඒක පේන් කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ මේ අයිටම සයිඩ් මිරර් එකක් කියලා සයිඩ් මිරර් එක පේන් කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ රුපියල් 2000ක්වත් යන්නේ නැහැ. 2000ක්වත් යන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි අපි ක්ලේම් කරනවා ඒ 2000ක් ක්ලේම් කරනවා. මෙතන අපි දැම්ම franchise amount එක 5,000 කියලා or 10,000 කියලා. So up to 10,000 we will not claim. Then your premium will be lower. Excess deductible is if the sum assured US dollars 10,000 subject to 10% excess deductible. Subject to 10% excess deductible. Subject to excess 10% excess deductible. Right? Now the loss incurred is US dollars 1,500. Loss incurred is US dollars 1,500. What is the 10% of 1,500? Sorry, what is the 10% of 10,000? 10% of 1,000. So up to 1,000, the claims will not be paid. Anything over that will be paid. So if the claim is US dollars 1,500, they will pay only US dollars 500. They will pay only US dollars 500. Right? Okay. එතකොට අපිට අරක අඩු වෙලා තමයි ගෙවන්නේ. Excess deductible. Right? So the next one is Article 29. So we will continue next week, and then after that we'll go for a new topic. Right. Step by step, I am keeping you guys ready for the ISBP discussions. Right? Okay. So you guys have to පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න හොයලා ISBP එක download කරගන්න. ඒ අතරේ what about our sums, forex and other one? Foreign exchange exercises. ඔක්කොම ඉවර කළාද?
There are few sums left.
Few sums. Have you done those things? have you done those things? ඒවා ඒ ටික පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න ඕන අපි දවසක අපි රිවිෂන් එකක් දාමු ඒ ටිකට. Right. The okay, අපි එහෙම කරලා අපි මේ කරමු. Right. Okay, then we'll call it a day. A long day from 8:30. I'm lecturing. Tomorrow also same thing. Exhausted. Huh? Okay. එහෙනම් අපි next week හම්බෙමු. හම්බෙලා බලමු. දැන් මම මේ බල ඉන්න කවද්ද අපිට මේ ළමයින්ගේ මූණ බලන්න පුළුවන් කියලා ඒකත් හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. Okay. See you all. Stay safe. Good night.